There was a time when the quiet in our apartment felt like peace. I used to love the way the sunlight hit the living room around 5, how the smell of Lucas's cologne lingered in the hallway after he left for another one of his endless business trips. But lately, the quiet's been whispering things I didn't want to hear. His messages got shorter, vaguer. Flight delayed. Long meeting. Bad signal. And when I asked questions, he'd flash that easy smile, the one that used to calm me, but now felt like a smokescreen. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. It was the little things at first. A charge from a restaurant in a city he wasn't supposed to be in. A hotel booking he said got canceled, only it hadn't. Lipstick too, the wrong shade for me. Faint on a shirt cuff. I wanted to believe I was imagining it. God, I tried. But the lies started stacking up like receipts in a drawer I couldn't keep shut anymore. And each time he came home smelling like hotel soap, my gut twisted a little tighter. Something wasn't adding up, and it was time I stopped pretending I didn't know. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened his email. Nothing dramatic, just a hotel reservation that had pinged my brain days before. One click, and there it was. 2 guests, 1 suite. My hands shook, but I kept going. His cloud was synced. Amateur mistake. And just like that, there they were. Smiling, cozy, her hand on his chest. My breath caught, but I didn't cry. Not one tear. I just closed the laptop, stood up, and packed a bag. If he could book rooms behind my back, I could book one too. At the very same hotel. I remember standing there, suitcase open on the bed, thinking how strange it felt to pack like that. Not for vacation, not for work. Just purpose. I folded my favorite black dress. Sharp, understated, impossible to ignore. The kind of thing you wear when you want to remind someone who they're actually dealing with. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do when I got there, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to sit at home and cry into a glass of wine while he played house with someone else. No, I was done being quiet. Booking the room was easy. Same hotel, same floor. I paid extra for that. I wanted to be close enough to feel the weight of what he'd done. Maybe I needed the pain to be real. Tangible. I don't know. But as soon as the confirmation hit my inbox, I felt this strange calm settle over me. Like the moment before a storm breaks. Not peaceful exactly, but focused. Sharp. I wasn't the woman waiting at home anymore. I was the woman walking into the fire, eyes wide open. He had no idea I was coming. That made it even better. The drive to the airport was quiet. Too quiet. I kept rehearsing lines in my head, what I'd say, how I'd say it, but none of them stuck. Deep down, I wasn't looking for a scene. I didn't want screaming or chaos. I wanted clarity. I wanted control, and I wanted him to feel it. The same chill I felt every time his phone went to voicemail. The doubt that crept in with every vague excuse. This trip wasn't about catching him. I already had. It was about showing him I saw everything, and I chose not to fall apart. When I stepped into the hotel lobby, the air hit me like a truth I'd already accepted. Cold, clean, and expensive. The kind of place designed to impress, to distract. Everyone smiled like they had nothing to hide. I checked in under a different name. Just a little twist of the truth. Funny how easy that was now. The concierge handed me my key card with a polished grin. He had no idea I was there on a mission. I was calm. Too calm, maybe. But inside, I could feel the fire in my chest growing steady, controlled, contained, burning in silence. From the hallway, I could see his room. 1208. I was 1210. 2 doors, maybe 20 feet between us. That close. I stood there for a minute, staring, listening. I didn't hear anything, just the soft hum of hotel life, carts rolling, low conversations, a distant elevator ding. But I knew he was in there with her. Maybe laughing, maybe touching her the way he used to touch me. My hand tightened around the key card. I wasn't going to knock. Not yet. I hadn't come here for drama. I came here to understand what kind of man he really was. I unpacked slowly, like every item I placed in the room was claiming space, not just in that hotel, but in this story. My story. I poured a glass of wine and sat by the window, looking out over the city skyline. People rushing below, lights flickering on in other rooms, other lives. It was strange, feeling so invisible and so powerful at the same time. I didn't know what tomorrow would look like, but I wasn't scared. Not anymore. I wasn't here to fall apart. I was here to watch, to wait. Because sometimes the best way to catch someone is to let them think they've gotten away with it. I got there a day early, before his return flight, before the lies could pile up any higher. The suite across the hall was a mirror of his, down to the generic artwork and overpriced minibar. I didn't care. It wasn't about comfort. It was about position. From where I stood, I could hear the soft click of his door opening, closing. Sometimes I heard laughter, hers, the woman he once introduced to me as just a friend. My stomach twisted the first time, I won't lie. But after that, it started to sharpen into something else, something focused, something dangerous. I watched them like they were in a movie I already knew the ending to. Breakfast in the hotel cafe, he pulled her chair out like a gentleman. They kissed in the lobby elevator like teenagers who thought no one was looking. He held her hand the same way he used to hold mine in airports, in quiet moments, in front of friends. I didn't cry. I observed. Every gesture, every lie made real. It hurt, of course it did, but pain has this strange way of carving out space inside you, space where clarity can live. I wasn't just his partner anymore. I was the witness. And witnessing changed me. I stopped asking why, stopped wondering what I could have done differently. This wasn't about me being less. It was about him never being enough. And now? I had front row seats to his unraveling. But I wasn't going to scream in the lobby. I wasn't going to cry into a pillow. No, that wasn't the plan. I was done playing the abandoned woman. It was time to play the unexpected guest. The kind that doesn't knock, doesn't beg. The kind that changes everything just by showing up. The staff didn't even blink when I asked about him. A simple smile, a casual mention. My husband's staying here on business. I lost track of his room number. And just like that, I had confirmation. Lucas, room 1208, checked in for 4 nights, 2 guests. No secrecy, no shame. He wasn't even trying to hide her. And somehow, that made it worse. Like I'd been erased, replaced. As if years of shared life could be swapped out for some glossy, half-baked fantasy. But I didn't let it show. I thanked the concierge sweetly and tipped like a woman with nothing to hide. I spent most of that first night watching from a distance, not stalking, studying, the way he leaned into her when she spoke, the little gifts he gave her, cheap bracelets, hotel flowers, and the way she smiled like it meant everything. I almost pitied her. Almost. But she knew about me. I was sure of it. The way she kept glancing over her shoulder, the way her eyes flicked toward other women in the lobby. She wasn't innocent. She was just complicit. Just another player in a game Lucas thought he was winning. But that game? It was about to change. And still, I waited. No dramatic confrontations, no emotional scenes, just silence, strategic, surgical silence. I ordered wine to their room under my name, his favorite bottle, had it delivered with a note. Thought you'd enjoy this. M. Nothing more, nothing less. I wanted to see the look on his face when it arrived. I wanted to feel the panic seep through the walls. If he thought he was in control, it was time to let the doubt in. Time to shift the air around him, to turn every moment of pleasure into a question. Who's watching? Who knows? I didn't sleep much that night. I didn't need to. My mind was too alert, every sense tuned to the atmosphere just across the hall. I kept the lights low and the curtains open, watching the city flicker like a restless heart. At one point, I heard raised voices, brief, muffled, then silence. Maybe the wine had done its job. Maybe he was lying through his teeth, scrambling to cover ground he didn't know I'd already crossed. I imagined her asking questions. catching the tremor in his voice. I imagined her beginning to feel what I'd felt for months, that something was off. The next morning, I watched them again. This time there was distance. He walked slightly ahead of her, face tighter, movements more careful. She looked uncertain. He was unraveling. And I felt steady, alive even, like I had slipped into a version of myself I didn't know existed, not vengeful, just awake. For once, he wasn't the one dictating the pace. I was. And I wanted him to feel it every second, not through shouting or threats, but through the quiet horror of realizing he wasn't alone in the room anymore. That I had stepped inside his perfect lie. I left a second gift that day, more subtle than the first. A small envelope, hand-delivered, no name, no return address. Just a note, handwritten on hotel stationery. Guess who checked in early? I imagined him holding it, fingers trembling just slightly, pretending to be calm while his pulse betrayed him. Let him wonder how much I knew. Let him wonder who saw what. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. This was tension. The kind that coils slow and tight, right before something snaps. I always believed that when someone betrays you, the worst part is the moment you find out. But I was wrong. The worst part is what comes after. When you keep smiling, keep breathing, while everything inside you wants to scream. That's the space I moved through now. I became someone else. Someone composed, elegant, dangerous. The hotel staff started recognizing me by my smile. No one suspected a thing. Just a woman on business, maybe a writer, maybe in town for a quiet escape. Meanwhile, I was collecting details like a chess player setting traps before the game even begins. I made friends with a young man at the front desk, Timothy, sweet, talkative, eager to please. A casual compliment here, a little charm there, and soon he was offering bits of information without even realizing it. Your husband's room has been quiet today. They ordered room service again. Looks like she really loves the risotto. Every scrap of insight added color to the portrait I was painting of their stolen time. And the best part? Lucas had no idea I was this close, that every move he made was being noted, studied, woven into something he couldn't outrun. Then came the next move. A bottle of wine, his favorite, sent to their room again, this time with no note. Then a phone call placed from the front desk under my name. Small things. Subtle. Designed not to expose, but to unsettle. The kind of things that make someone's skin crawl without knowing why. I wanted him to look over his shoulder. I wanted her to feel the shift in him. The tension. The paranoia. The creeping doubt. I wasn't hiding anymore. I was haunting. And they were beginning to feel it. I watched the shift happen in real time. Lucas started moving differently, quieter, distracted. He touched his phone more often, checked over his shoulder at breakfast, barely looked the woman in the eye. She noticed. Of course she did. Women like her always think they're the exception, until the unease creeps in, until their perfect man starts flinching at shadows. I could see it in her posture, in the way she pulled away when he tried to kiss her. The spell was cracking, and they didn't even know where the break began. That's the beauty of subtle pressure. It never announces itself. I timed everything carefully. Never too much. Never obvious. Just enough to poison the mood. A room service mix-up. A reservation that mysteriously disappeared. A reminder that someone else knew exactly where they were. By the third day, he looked like a man walking through fog. Tense, confused, unraveling behind polite smiles. I kept watching, calm as ever, invisible but everywhere. The longer I waited, the more he began to crumble. And her? She wasn't built for this. You could see it in her eyes. Her certainty was slipping, fast, and I wasn't even in the same room. But I was done playing ghost. I wanted him to feel my presence, not just sense it. So I wrote the note. One line. No anger, no threats, just precision. Guess who checked in early? I slipped it into a hotel envelope, sealed it, and waited until just before they returned from dinner. Then I tucked it under his door. Not enough time to hide it before she saw. Just enough time for it to hit like a whisper wrapped in dynamite. I went back to my room, poured myself a drink, and waited. Because the next move? That would be his panic. The silence across the hall that night was louder than anything I'd heard all week. No music, no laughter. Just the heavy hush of two people sitting in a room, trying to make sense of a storm that hadn't even landed yet. I imagined the scene, him picking up the envelope, recognizing my handwriting in half a heartbeat. Her asking what it was, then asking again when he didn't answer fast enough. The panic blooming behind his eyes, the lie already forming on his lips. I knew him too well, and she didn't know him at all, not really. The next morning, they didn't leave the room. No breakfast, no spa visit, no pretending. I passed by their door on purpose, slow, deliberate steps. I wanted him to wonder, was that her? Could she be right there this whole time? The paranoia would eat him from the inside, one small bite at a time. That's what betrayal does when it loops back around. It infects the betrayer. It turns everything familiar into threat. And me? I didn't feel bitter. I felt prepared, because I wasn't walking into heartbreak. I was walking into justice, and I was taking my time. I waited until dusk before making the final move, not out of hesitation, but timing. The hotel bar was always quiet just before dinner. Dim lights, soft jazz, couples whispering over cocktails. The perfect stage. I texted him from a number he didn't know. Meet me downstairs. Alone. No punctuation. No name. Just enough weight to pull him in. I ordered a drink and sat at a corner table facing the door. Heart steady, expression calm. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was ready to look him in the eye and let him realize, far too late, that the woman he left behind had just stepped into the spotlight. He walked into the bar like a man already haunted. I saw it in the way his eyes darted, searching for something, me, or a way out, maybe both. His shirt was wrinkled, collar slightly off. He hadn't shaved. Good. Let him wear the unraveling on his skin. When he spotted me, his steps faltered. Just for a second. Just enough. I didn't move. I just sat there, one hand around my glass, calm as still water. He approached slowly, like someone approaching a caged animal, but I wasn't the one trembling. "Hi," he said, voice too low, too careful. I raised my eyes, met his. "Sit." He obeyed. I didn't let silence stretch. I wanted control, not suspense. "You really should have changed your cloud settings," I said, soft but sharp. He blinked, that slow, stunned blink of someone realizing the walls have closed in. "I know about her," I continued, tilting my glass, letting the light catch the amber liquid. "I know about the wine, the breakfasts, the fake flights. I know about the lies you told her about me, and the lies you told me about her." His mouth opened, a breath held at the back of his throat, but I wasn't finished. "You lied so much, you forgot who was keeping the receipts." He tried to speak, of course he did, but I held up a finger. Not angry, not emotional, just done. No apologies, no excuses. Just listen. For once in your life, just sit there and understand what it means to lose everything you took for granted. He looked like he was shrinking in front of me, shoulders folding inward, hands twitching slightly on the table. The same hands that used to trace my back like a promise. Now, they looked lost. I watched him try to find his words, but none came, and I didn't need them. Words from him meant nothing anymore. I leaned in slightly, voice still calm, still steady. "You thought I'd fall apart, that I'd cry in some quiet corner while you built a double life. You thought I was too soft to notice, too loyal to act. You were half right. I noticed everything, and I acted." His eyes were glassy now, and for a second I wondered if he'd actually cry. I almost hoped he would. It wouldn't change anything, but it would finally make him feel something. Anything. I reached into my purse and pulled out the flash drive. Just a small, ordinary thing. but I could see the color drain from his face as I placed it gently on the table between us. Photos, videos, emails, everything, I said, tapping it once with my finger. I didn't come here to destroy you, but don't think for a second I couldn't. He tried again. Maya, No, I cut in, voice still level. You don't get to say my name like it still belongs in your mouth. He looked away then, jaw clenched, throat tight. I took a slow sip of my drink, letting the moment settle, letting him feel the weight of what it meant to be truly, deeply exposed. I stood up slowly, deliberately, letting the silence stretch just long enough for him to feel it. The drink was nearly full. I hadn't come to enjoy it. I'd come to end something. He didn't try to stop me. He just stared, eyes wide, lips slightly parted like he still thought there was something left to say. But there wasn't. Not from him. I leaned in close enough to see the panic tightening around his temples, and kissed him once, gently, on the cheek. A kiss that wasn't affection. It was a verdict. I flew all this way, I whispered, to return what you left behind, your dignity. And then I walked. Not rushed, not dramatic, just complete. As I passed the bar's polished glass wall, I caught my reflection. I looked like myself again. No, not again. I looked like someone new. Someone who had finally stopped shrinking to make space for someone else's comfort. The USB stayed on the table, untouched, like a quiet threat dressed in plastic. I didn't need to use it, not unless he gave me a reason, but he knew now, knew just how deeply I'd seen him, and how far I was willing to go to be unseen by him again. The elevator ride back to my room was silent, but not empty. I felt something building inside me. Not rage, not grief, power. The kind that comes when you take your story back, word by word, moment by moment. I had done what I came to do, and tomorrow, I wouldn't be here when he woke up. Lucas went home alone. I didn't need to see it. I knew. The kind of silence that follows a storm like mine doesn't leave much behind. Word got around fast. Maybe it was the look on his face when he walked through the doors at work. Maybe it was the well-placed emails I sent to the colleagues who had seen a little too much but said far too little. I never said what he did. I didn't need to. Just enough suggestion to let the truth seep in slowly, like red wine on white linen. Reputations don't need flames to burn. Sometimes they drown. The other woman? She blocked him, deleted the photos, unfollowed the accounts. She vanished with the kind of finality only humiliation can bring. And Lucas? He spiraled. Nothing dramatic. Just less. Less charm, less confidence. A man trying to outrun a shadow with no idea where the light switch went. I watched from a distance, quietly, with no interest in revenge anymore. I didn't want to ruin him. I just wanted the truth to find him in every room he entered. And it did. That's the thing about lies. They don't die when they're exposed. They echo. As for me, I was already gone before he even made it back. The paperwork had been started weeks earlier. Separation, finances, a few clean cuts were needed. My name off the accounts, the lease, the mess. No back and forth, no bargaining. I didn't want a single thing from him. Just space. Real, open, breathable space. And this time, I wasn't running from anything. I wasn't chasing anything either. I was simply moving forward, on my own terms. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like more than enough. I didn't make a scene on social media. No vague quotes, no cryptic posts. That was never my style. But I did write something. Just one blog entry, part travel diary, part quiet confession. I titled it, Surprise Visits, Always Pack the Truth. Nothing dramatic, no names, just enough breadcrumbs for the people who needed to see them. A little nod to the hotel, a casual reference to a forgotten key card, a reflection on how silence can be louder than shouting. It wasn't spiteful. It was precise. A story dressed as a souvenir. And it worked. People read between the lines. The piece went viral within my small circle. Friends, colleagues, Even people I hadn't spoken to in years reached out, some with support, some with suspicions confirmed. Funny how truth travels faster when you don't shove it. I didn't need revenge. I needed release. That post? It was mine. A stamp at the end of a long chapter. I'd carried his secrets in my chest for too long. Writing it down felt like exhaling for the first time in months. Like finally setting down a suitcase you forgot you were holding. And while Lucas was busy doing damage control, I was already packing again. But this time, not to follow anyone. No double-checking flight numbers, no calls asking when he'd be home. Just me, my bag, a plane ticket, and no one waiting on the other side. I chose the destination at random. Somewhere warm, somewhere loud, somewhere I could walk through the streets and not think about hotel keys or fake smiles. I wasn't running. I wasn't hiding. I was simply free. And freedom, I was learning, is a hell of a good carry-on. The airport was buzzing with the usual rhythm of goodbyes and new beginnings. I stood in line with my boarding pass and a heart that no longer thudded with dread. There was no one to text an update to, no one to lie to myself about. Just me, and that felt enormous. I had a window seat. I always chose the aisle before, just in case he needed to get up first. Isn't that wild? How even small things become compromises when you're shrinking around someone else's life. But this time I wanted the view. As the plane lifted off, I watched the city fall away beneath me. The skyline, the streets, the memories, they all grew smaller. And I didn't look back, not because I was trying to forget, but because I'd already taken what I needed from it. I had my clarity, I had my strength. The pain didn't vanish, but it didn't own me anymore. It had become part of the fabric I carried forward, woven in, but no longer defining me. He used to travel to escape his life. I traveled to reclaim mine. And now I was airborne. No destination that mattered. No one waiting to tell me who to be when I landed. Just sky, and silence, and power. I slipped my phone into airplane mode, leaned back, and let out the softest, most honest breath I'd taken in years.